Alright, let's talk about it, bro. Season 4 of Snowfall. You're still on this video? You have not watched it. You know there's spoilers. First of all, this is by far, from the previous seasons, this is the best season I've seen from Snowfall. From the entire storyline, the development, everything, bro. Everything starts off so quick. We are in episode 1 and we're getting already the gang wars with the shooting, Scully and Manboy. And before, like the previous seasons, it would take like a couple more episodes. Like around like episode 4 or 5, we would get the shootings that we got in episode 2 in season 4, if you know what I mean. The story builds up so quickly, you're immediately invested like this. This has by far for me the best season. And the Mangekyo Sharingans that have been awakened this entire season is crazy. You know, Franklin and Leon don't really seem eye to eye right now in the first episode because, you know, Franklin likes to get involved in a lot of stuff, which Leon's like, yo, just don't do this. Now, he likes to deal in stuff in his own way, which is fair, right? Fair. Leon's like, do not get involved with Manboy and Scully's beef because it's going to end up coming towards us, which, I mean, he was actually right. That ended up happening. And then later on, stuff gets so insane. What I thought was, oh, they're going to organize this whole plan. And then around like episode 5, it's going to happen. No, next episode immediately, yo, they're going to start shooting. They're starting to shoot. And the main goal was to kill Scully. And, you know, some people on Manboy's side were kind of nervous. They started rushing and everything. It didn't work. Franklin gets out of there. And this dialogue scene right here was so good, where it's like Franklin is so scared, like the visible, it's so visible for him to see like, yo, okay, he gets so scared, like, bro, so nobody sees Scully get hit. Like, that was so fire. And we know Scully is insane. We have seen him like kill people out of nowhere, cut somebody's arm off and just laugh about it and stuff. Like, bro, he is crazy. And especially in this season, you find out, hey, they are not scared to kill off anybody. Then we get to like a character that is really important, like Irene Abe, the reporter, which I did not expect her to be such an important character this season. She goes over to Melody, who's I think in Texas. Her whole life has changed. Makes sense, you know, after shooting Franklin. I don't even know how she got out of there. She goes over there and then she's like, yo, do you know anything? You know about Franklin? And then Melody tells her everything. And that little scene sets up the entire story for season 4. Or I guess, you know, 70% of the story, because the gang war is not over. It's not over with Scully, bro. You know that. But one thing I didn't really understand was how was Irene Abe able to get so much information so quickly? I feel like, I know they kind of showed us her researching and stuff like that, but I feel like the FBI agent, the DI agents, and like everybody, she got information from everybody. And she's just like a reporter. She doesn't really have that governmental authority, in my opinion, for her to get such crucial information to blow up a whole CIA operation. By the way, this whole season had me anxious on my seat, bro. Like, to the point I wanted to fast forward some stuff, not because it was boring, but because I needed to know, like, okay, what's going to happen? Is Scully going to shoot at somebody? And that's exactly what he did. He went after Leon because he knows, okay, yeah, that's Franklin's people. I'm going to shoot at them. Sends out somebody, and then, actually, no, it was him. Scully goes over there, shoots at, you know, Leon and everybody, but I mean, only Wanda gets hit, which is probably the best thing that could have happened for her and her character, because she was starting to piss me off, because she didn't really do a lot at this point. Now we got another story developing. We got Gustavo and Teddy being together, which is such a cool duo, which I did not expect to happen, but I'm really glad, because Gustavo has been kind of a weird character, just like following, like just being around Lucia, and I felt like he was always in the background, but now he's just more like chill with Teddy. I mean, he's still going to be angry. I mean, literally what happened was they went to Mexico, right? To, you know, do their thing, deals, stuff like that. But bro, they ran into this dude and then he's like, yo, I'm gonna snitch or like whatever. I didn't really understand his whole position. Dude is like, hey bro, y'all gotta pay me $100K a week or else I'm doing stuff basically. And they're like, yeah, now we can do that. And then, you know, Gustavo's brother is there. I think that's his brother, right? At night, they come home on some Sasuke stuff with Itachi, and then Gustavo just sees his whole family on the floor, dead. And bro, this is so insane. They carved $100K on the dude's forehead to be like, yeah, just, you know what to do, right? And then Gustavo goes crazy and he shoves Teddy to the ground. Gustavo and Mangekyo, right? We already know that. Now Gustavo and Teddy have a little, you know, back and forth, but then eventually they agree to hunt down an entire house. They just go in there and then we see the CIA skills from Teddy just sniping everybody down. Then Gustavo goes from back around the house, but this scene was fire, bro. It felt like a real life, like Mission Impossible movie. And then, you know, he carves up, I don't remember what number it was. Like, this dude Franklin right here, okay? This is where I'm like, okay, he's kind of turning a bit evil right here, because he goes to this bookstore, which is preserved by this family for over like 30 years. And they seem like really good people, you know? They always bring him in, let him, you know, eat some cake, drink some coffee, read a couple books. He basically tells them, yo, I got this idea for y'all, lying to them. He's like, yeah, you can just, you know, agree to this, and then y'all gonna keep the bookstore, and everything is gonna be fine, the city is gonna be off y'all backs, but, you know, just selling them lies. In the same episode, at the end, he's like, yep, well, I sold the store. And then they were like, yo, what the fuck you? And he had no reaction to that. They told him, fuck you, and he was like, yep, y'all have until Friday. This is like where Franklin loses the plot. This is literally a business grown from nothing, and it's like, it's been preserved for over 30 years. I feel like, you know, he would like to keep it, but, you know, it's that money, bro. Don't think I forgot about Leon. You know, obviously when Wanda got hit, she goes to the hospital. Leon is like, okay, we have to hit back. Simple cycle. You know, this whole cycle that's been going around. They go to a detective. They try to find out everything about Scully, and they only found a simple address where I think his grandma was at. And then they saw him walking a couple of times. This is the scene that really sets everything off. Leon, Fatback, and the little homie, they're in the car. They're waiting for Scully or somebody to pull up. They're just parked, right? They're just chilling, nothing happening. And then random car pulls up, which happens to be Scully's people. And then they lock eyes into each other like, oh wait, hold on. This is Franklin's people and this is Scully's people. And then they start shooting. That's not even the worst part. Then Leon gets out. He gets the Uzi, starts spraying up the entire car until you hear a baby crying. I'm like, no fucking way. We see it's Tiana, Scully's daughter. And Khadija is holding her like this. Mangekyo is through the roof. And she was still able to see, I don't know how she was still able to see Leon with the gun. This was such a shocking moment because up until this point in Snowfall, nobody has really died that was this young. Like the youngest person that died was probably Kevin. And that was already shocking enough. And now you bring in kids into this. As soon as the scene happened, I knew I was on Khadija's side immediately because, bro, it's a kid dying. They had nothing to do with this. If Leon would have died at the end of the season, I would have no problem with that. But I gotta say this because even Franklin said it. He was like, why was a kid even in the car? Why was she in the car going through a dangerous neighborhood while people are shooting just recklessly? Low-key, that's a fair point. But again, it's like, it doesn't really excuse her being shot. After the whole situation, you know, Franklin and Jerome, they kind of give Leon a new home where it's like, okay, you're going to be safe here. But Leon is all messed up. Even Franklin and Leon notices. He asked Jerome like, yo, have you ever seen him before like this? And he said, I've known him his entire life. I have never seen him like this. That's how you know. That's what happens when you kill a kid. It's over with Scully basically now, right? Manboy pulls up to his house. And I didn't even know this, but Khadija and Manboy are actually related. So he's like, yeah, I can go over to Franklin and do this, that, and third. He goes over to Franklin. He's like, yep, well, give up Leon or we go to war. Simple as that. Ultimatum, what we have to do. Or we go to the police, give him up like that. But it is what it is. This situation is so difficult because there are so many I told you moments from Franklin and Leon. Leon could have told Franklin, I told you not to get involved with them. And then Franklin could have been like, yo, I told you not to do things your own way. We could have done this together. You know, so like it's such a good, like, bro, they don't even talk about it, but like, you know that in the back of your mind, like, oh yeah, this also happened. So Franklin sets up the plan where it's like, okay, Fatback, you're going to jail, I'm going to bail you out in the morning, everything's going to be fine. But I mean, to be honest, Franklin's plans have been really, really difficult to deal with. Either like you're going to succeed or it's going to be 50-50 if you're going to survive or not. Everything seemed fine. Fatback goes to jail, everything's good. This man goes out. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This dude, Fatback, goes into a random car because he's seen women in there. I'm like, bro, Fatback, you've been in the business long enough. You're Leon's right-hand man, and you're getting swooped up by random women because they said, oh, we're from Leon and Franklin sent us. I know Fatback is not the smartest dude, but I mean, bro, you're in the business for a reason, you know? And the people who actually took Fatback, they were working for Khadija. I mean, she was like, hey, I got a bounty for Leon. You give me his head, and I got you. It's so unfortunate because Fatback just dies right here, and then it's like he had nothing to do with it. There was another girl I've not even mentioned yet. Her name was Tanasi? T? We're gonna call her T. Her whole story is like revolved around her brother being held hostage by Manboy, so she kind of approaches Franklin to get to the plug ultimately. That's her ultimate goal. But I also find it kind of weird how quick Franklin got like so close to her, because at the start of the season she kind of got to the club with Louis. She went to the New Year's party right there, and then they just kind of went together. Franklin and Leon, they found out that, you know, Fatback is dead, and Leon goes crazy. He starts raging, starts moving furniture, but it's like it's warranted, you know. He tells Franklin, yo, this is all your fucking fault. And then I love how Franklin just let him rage out in peace and didn't even say a word, because Franklin could have easily been like, yo, I told you not to kill a kid. Why would you kill a kid? We're in the situation just because you did that. But I'm glad he didn't do that, because he knew, okay, I messed up right here. Regardless of what Leon did before, I messed up right here, and I'm glad he did that. He let him just be crazy for a little bit. Did I remind you, this is everything in season 4. Let's go back to the reporter, you know, who has like the infinity gauntlet of information. She has the FBI agent right there, CIA, DEA, everybody, and now she's going to Franklin's dad. Why'd I say it like that? She goes to Franklin's dad, you know, to the shelter, tries to convince him, yo, if you want to talk, we're going to cooperate, everything's going to be fine. He actually snitches on his entire family, basically. And don't get me wrong, I'm on his side. I'm okay with him snitching for everything, but bro, why didn't you talk to your wife? Why didn't you talk to your son before doing this? This man said, oh, Irene, you're gonna keep my family safe? Bro, she couldn't keep nobody safe right now, bro. Especially when you get the CIA involved. This is already gonna feel like betrayal to Franklin because you didn't talk to him. And now all of a sudden he has to hear it from the radio or from the newspaper that, hey, somebody has talked about me. Oh, wait, look, it's my dad. That's like the only thing about Alton that kind of pissed me off, because this man wanted out of this entire thing. Bro, you just got here 2 seasons ago. This show really got you rooting for the drug dealer. But bro, this man trying to tear down what me and Franklin built. I'm on Alton's side. It's just the way he did it was so stupid, bro. He actually mentioned the CIA in his, you know, snitching, but he didn't really mention Teddy by name. Speaking of, this dude is in Panama and he's trying to basically collect his money. It's been stolen. He pulls up in this dude's house, turns on the light. He's like, yep, I know. He's so over it. He's like, just please tell me what money is. I'm not trying to do anything. Come on. I still don't know if the dude actually stole the money or if it was Avi. Another thing that kind of pissed me off was that they just killed off Matt. And I understand, the whole coke thing that happened. This gotta be like the dumbest dad I've ever seen in my entire life. This man said, oh, I didn't tell you because he died 2 weeks ago and the funeral was yesterday. And then now I'm glad. And you should be glad I called you though. He called Teddy a day after the funeral. And then he was like, oh, it should have been you. You were the reason he did this. Who are you, bro? This gotta be the dumbest dad of all time. Anyway, I would have hung up right there. I'd be like, okay, yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to see it from his perspective, talking about his son like that. Like, it's still your son. You're still the dad. You're still supposed to be the whatever. We have another really good scene with Leon and Fatback's cousin, who's kind of like an OG. So he's basically telling him, yo, I'm trying to make things right with you and your family. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I mean, why would I do that? He goes to Jerome and it's like, okay, yeah, I don't really know how to deal with him. Can you help me? And they actually end up, kind of forming, not like a group, but like they're kind of gaining each other's trust. Now we get to the funeral. We have Khadija, Dallas, and what's her other name? Something Diamond. They're going to try to shoot up Leon. I mean, bro, everybody's doing these drive-bys, got like stormtrooper aim. Louis gets shot and she goes to the hospital. And this is where his Mangekyo was activated. The way Jerome was acting when he saw Louis in that hospital, he came out crying. He started whispering out of his sadness and anger. And he said, just let's get everybody, but we're going now. Then we get this beautiful scene where Franklin tries to convince Jerome, if you go now, they're expecting you and you're going to get set up. Jerome was not hearing that. I mean, the Mangekyo was going crazy. His whole mind is not in the same place. I don't think I even mentioned Franklin being on the crutches, but I mean, that made him such a villain. Pulls it away. And he starts boxing. This is such a good scene because it's not out of hatred. They're not boxing because they hate each other. They're boxing out of respect. Franklin tells him, if your wife and your sister ask me what I did to stop you, I'm going to tell them everything. And that made him back down. Then we get this goated, you should have seen the other guy joke from Franklin to Louis, which was hilarious. Anyway, can I mention the development of Jerome and Louis throughout this entire season? Because before, they would sometimes piss me off because their decisions would be so emotional and they couldn't really see the most logical thing. Which I know Jerome almost killed himself and everybody else by going to, Scully and Manboy. But besides that, they have been making really good decisions. And even when later on, they actually split up the business between them and Franklin because, let's face it, bro, Franklin got all of them into danger by getting involved in this whole gang war and then the Tiana shooting. Makes sense they want to split up. I love that decision. And they went actually to Little Rock to expand their business. Then Louis mentions the women that shot her, they probably just had a bounty paid. And then if they just gave them something they couldn't refuse, they're going to set Khadija up. So that's exactly what they did. So unfortunately, Khadija gets set up, which I kind of still feel bad for her because she just lost her daughter. I know killing Fatback was one thing, but still, she tells them like, really? You're going to betray me? And then like, whatever they're giving you, I'm going to double it. They say, keep it. And then she said, I'm going to triple it. They say, keep it. If you get that reference, you're a goat. This part actually pissed me off, where it's like Leon is trying to explain to Khadija, I'm really sorry. I wish, things could have been different. But then Jerome just shoots her. I felt like this scene could have been way longer. They kind of made it really short. I felt like we could have had a really good moment of Leon and Khadija talking more about what actually happened and how they actually feel. Khadija is dead. Now, what do you think Scully's going to think about this? Now, that's not the only setup that happened because now we have Manboy's turn. Tanasi told him, hey, I have the plug, by the way. By the way, Franklin also found out that Tanasi was spying on him. Manboy pulls up to Tanasi's house thinking that, he outsmarted Franklin and everybody else. He's trying to kill her. She stabs him. Then there's Franklin and Leon and Jerome and everybody's there. And he gets set up and Manboy dies. He was actually a really cool character. I thought he was going to be more of a typical bully or jerk, like the way they were kind of building him up. But no, he was actually a really smart guy. Almost an antagonist, if you really want to call him like that. This dude Manboy tells Franklin, yo, he doesn't have that killer instinct. He can't look him in his eyes and then Franklin just shoots it. We have learned from last season. And now, especially this season, this man is like Aaron Yeager. Right? Speaking of the reporter, he has managed to gain all the Infinity Stones. And now Teddy is fired. And he goes over to Irene. He's like, hey, let's talk. They fired me. And he actually tells her everything. At first, I was really confused. I'm like, wait, hold on. Did he actually just confess everything? Like, I didn't really know what was happening because with Teddy, you never know. And then she drives home. She ends up falling asleep on the wheel. And there's Teddy, ready to kill her. He kills her right there, gets rid of her, everything. He actually threatened her before, but she didn't back down. Now, that's why I'm thinking he actually told her everything because maybe in my mind, maybe I'm tripping, but I thought he respected her so much that she deserved to know everything. So before he killed her. That's why I also didn't really understand when Alton was talking to Irene about everything, that he was going to be safe, because Irene said they were going to be safe, so they're going to be safe. I'm not saying Alton should have never talked about anything. It makes sense, bro. Some dude broke into his house, tried to shoot him, Scully, because he found out that, hey, his wife is dead, his baby is dead, and now he's trying to see blood, even though he was really trying to just calm down a little bit. He really was. He's like, yo, I'm not trying to do this no more, bro. He goes to the hospital and sees Louis, and he's really shaking before pulling the trigger. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it anymore. Back to Alton, right? Trying to beat the system makes sense from the inside. But I feel like you have so many more like opportunities to do that instead of just talking to a random reporter, because you have Franklin's money that you could borrow that. If you could tell Franklin, hey, I need like 50K or 100K, I don't know what you're going to do with that money, but he's pretty smart. He could probably figure something out. But to just be like, oh, I'm just going to talk and then hopefully everything's going to be fine. Like, no, that was such a weird thing to do. And then your son felt betrayed, which was also another thing. And then now you're trying to move with her, with Sissy out of the country. No, that's not gonna work. So later on, Franklin and Alton get into the standoff. Alton is basically telling him, you are the system I'm trying to beat. You know, he has the gun in his hand, everything. And it's a good dialogue, bro. He's right. He's trying to beat the system, the CIA, the corrupt wars, everything. And the thing is, he talked to Franklin about it. And this is why the dialogue is so good. Because while Alton was doing everything, Franklin told him, like, what are you doing? They're going to come after us. Aren't you scared? And he's like, no, I'm not scared. Are you scared of the CIA? And he's like, of course. And that was the point exactly that he was trying to make. He was like, yo, they're trying to keep you down. And that, oh, it's so good. And then the mother jumps in the middle. She's like, no, let's calm down. Franklin points the gun at Teddy. And then Teddy points the gun at... It was so good. At the end, they lowered the gun. You think everything's going to be fine. I'm laughing because what happened next was hilarious. Sissy and Franklin's dad. They moved to Cuba. The season ends. Nope, that's what you think. By the way, as soon as they showed me that they went to Cuba, I knew something was up. Sissy leaves the room, the hotel, whatever. Franklin's dad is reading a book. All of a sudden, you see Teddy walk. Teddy closes the door in shades, and then he looks back, and he had the dog meme reaction. He had that. He just looked to the sky. I mean, we know what happened, man. He's dead. We know. Now, the real end of the season, Franklin going back to Melody's place in Texas, I think. And he's basically telling, yo, if you ever come across me again, stop talking about me. And then she's like, well, can you at least tell me if you killed my dad? And I wish he would have answered it, but I mean, he kind of did, but he didn't. He was like, you just have a good day, Melody. And then he walks away with the crutches, pulls it to the side like Seth Rollins before he cashed in. And then he just walks off. And then happy ass music just plays. Also, by the way, Wanda is clean, which is pretty good for her character because finally she's not just this annoying junkie. But yeah, that was season 4. I had to re-record this. Hopefully I won't delete this file again because, bro, I don't want to re-record it. But yeah, I love y'all. See y'all next time. And yeah, go watch Snowfall.